I think I transitioned at 21, and in these 6 years, I've learned a lot about myself. I'm not going to sit there and try and fix somebody and educate them and, like, be that person in their life, because I've done enough of that. There were many professors, many students who really treated me poorly. I, as Trinetra, I'm a very polished, like the way I conduct myself, the way I speak, the way I look, all of that has a certain quality to it, which is also a result of me being a doctor.
Hi Trinetra, welcome to Screen.
Hi, lovely to be here. How are you doing?
All good. So,
Great.
I was reading an interview of yours where you said that the dream role for you would be to play a woman and just a woman without any prefixes. So
Right.
when you were when you auditioned for Made in Heaven and were got this part, were you ever concerned that after that you would be only offered those parts? Was that ever a concern for you?
Honestly, no, because I feel like, your gender is a small part of who you are. It's a small aspect of who you are, and if a character is written beyond their gender, if a character has layers, if a character has depth, then the identity of being cis or trans ceases to matter too much. So I feel like when I say I just want to be a woman without prefixes, I'm not saying that I want to play just cis parts, or that I don't want to play trans parts. When I say I want to play a woman without prefixes, what I mean is a woman is more than those prefixes of cis and trans. She is so many things. A woman has dreams and desires and work and life. And for me, it's important, like whether cis or trans, that characters are layered. And I'm just happy that with Made in Heaven and then subsequently now with KanKhajura, I've been fortunate enough to be able to play parts that are so much more than their gender. And that's exactly what Amy is. Not only does she look completely different, as you can tell with the red hair, but she comes from a different social location. She's born and raised in Goa. Mm, and there's so much happening in her life, so I think it's just very satisfying for me as an actor to explore those aspects of personality and being, um, just outside of my trans identity. So I think that's what I mean when I say without prefixes. Yeah.
Yeah. To make sure that your part in Kankhajura is different from Made in Heaven. Obviously, they come from different backgrounds, but
Yeah.
as an actor, how did you pitch them or position them differently?
Honestly, that was the easiest thing to do because they're nothing like each other. They're absolutely nothing like each other, right? Meher is a wedding planner, comes from Delhi, and she has a completely different life. Amy is a Konkani speaking Goan Catholic girl who speaks like, "Eh, kya kar raha hai? Pagal ho gaya hai?" Like, she has this absolute, ease with which she is, the way that she conducts herself. I, as Trinetra, I'm a very polished, like the way I conduct myself, the way I speak, the way I look, all of that has a certain quality to it, which is also a result of me being a doctor, I think. But Amy is completely unabashed. There's no polish there. She's not wearing makeup through half the season. She's got cuts and bruises on her face. She's got red hair. She's just a wild personality who has this really strong wall for the world, but is also vulnerable. So I think it was very satisfying to play that part because it was inherently so different. And given that the genre itself is crime thriller and is so different from what Made in Heaven was, that also automatically made it that much more different, right? So I didn't have to put in much effort to make it different. I just had to put in effort to bring Amy to life. Mm. And Pooja Swaroop, my acting coach, wonderful human being, amazing theater actor. She was the one that helped me kind of do that. We did a few workshops around it. And I'm also very grateful to the creators of this show for making Amy so visually different. Because in the international series Magpie, from which this is adapted, I think of all of the characters, Amy is the most visually different from her international counterpart. So, yeah, it was just extremely, extremely fun to do. Because transformation is very integral to my life as a trans person. Um, and that is my greatest joy as an actor as well, to be able to transform. And trans people don't get to do that, with the representation that we have. And I am just very thankful and very fortunate that I get to experience the joys of an actor first, um, outside of just representation or being the diversity token or whatever. So that's very important to me.
Yeah. You speaking of cuts and bruises, we see that that your character is subjected to your partner violence in this show, and we see glimpses of that in Made in Heaven also. I think when we talked, then you talked about how dating is such a nightmare for trans people even today. So
Yeah.
how do you navigate that? Do you also have trust issues on that front?
uh, how do I navigate my dating life?
Yeah.
um, I would say I'm 27 now. I think I transitioned at 21, and in these 6 years, I've learned a lot about myself. First and foremost, I've learned a lot about what my insecurities are, what my flaws are, what I look for in relationships. And when anyone is starting to date, I think nobody knows that, right? It's just that most people get to have those experiences through high school and college. For me, it happened later because I transitioned later in life. So now I think it's gotten a lot easier to navigate it because I know what I don't want. I know what I look for, what I don't look for. So it's very easy to not, when you don't know that, when you don't know yourself, you're kind of just wandering and trying to find your way and experimenting and seeing what works in relationships. But I'm done with that phase of my life. I know what the bare minimum is. If a bare minimum level of respect and dignity and ease and comfort is not there, then I'm not going to sit there and try and fix somebody and educate them and, like, be that person in their life, because I've done enough of that. So while I wouldn't say it's easy, because prejudice is still a thing, stigma is still a thing, even with the most wonderful partner, their family may not be wonderful. They may not understand or be supportive, or there may be other factors there. But I think, with the right partner, even those difficulties become challenges that you face together. You're dealing with it as a unit. You don't feel alone. But when you're with the wrong person, even in the relationship, you feel so isolated when dealing with those circumstances. And that's the worst feeling, to be in a relationship and to feel like you're isolated or alone in that relationship. So I
Mhm.
think, like, long story short, I've just, like, I can't deal with the bullshit anymore. So I am just a lot more picky with what I want. Yeah.
So even KanKhajura, we see Roshan Matthews' character. When he meets you after so many years, he realizes that you have transitioned, and he takes it kind of lightly. He doesn't really overthink it. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
yeah, and then later, when you want some privacy and you go into your room, and then he follows you and he tries to like just clean your bruises, and then you
Yeah.
say that that तुझे समझ नहीं आता क्या कि लड़की को छेड़ेगा or something like that.
Yeah. 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 Oh
You know,
God.
so
Yeah.
I want to ask, has that been a struggle for you as well to deal with the same people you knew from before who maybe don't know about your journey, but you may have met them after years, and there is that privacy issue, that's boundary issue now.
Honestly, no. The thing is, when you go through a transition, right, it's unfortunate that you lose a lot of people because a lot of people don't understand and they don't have the empathy to give. And in retrospect, this happened for me in college, which was very isolating because I was living in boys' hostel, and that's when I transitioned. And um, there were many professors, many students who really treated me poorly, and while it was hard, I think in retrospect, I'm very grateful that those people exited my life because I feel like every time someone leaves your life, it's for a reason, and it makes space for new people who do understand you the way that you need. And I'm very grateful, like, to a handful of people, who knew me from then, who continue to be very close friends even today. Like one of my best friends, Dr. Anirudh, we actually were hostel mates in boys' hostel. Like we lived in boys' hostel together, and he's seen me be that person. And he's finishing his post graduation now in Bombay, and I'm an actor now, and we're still extremely close. He comes home and he treats me completely like a woman. Like there is no question of like, unfortunately, many men will treat you like a boy still if they knew you as a boy. That equation is not there. It's just, from the slightest inkling of social touch, right? Like there is such a thing as social touch and how we interact physically with each other in platonic ways. From that to using the right name and pronouns, his parents even, are that degree of accepting. Mm, so I think I've been very fortunate that everyone who is still in my life from my pre-transition times has been very sensitive. And I think in the scene that you're talking about now, Amy is also, she's in a very vulnerable state. She's been abused, and she just she's very traumatized. And so a man touching her in that moment
Yeah.
is very triggering, and that's where it comes from. It's not so much Ashu per se. She just wants to be left alone. And I think Ashu doesn't understand that, but at the same time, there is an innocence there. It doesn't come from a
Mm.
place of like aggression or trying to do
Yeah.
something. It's completely innocent. And I think that is what I really like about that equation in the entire show. That like it's a dark, dark show, but like this equation, there is some innocence there. There is some sweetness. There is some childlike sort of, I don't know, uh, sweetness. Let's just put it like that. So I think I really enjoyed that part. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I also love that they bond over food, where
Yeah.
like their meet cute happens over him trying to buy poi breads from her and she refusing to charge him for that. Then
Yeah.
him getting Vindaloo to her place, and
Yeah.
then she invites him for a meal. So it's all like food
Yeah.
is a crucial part of that equation, which is so nice. But
Yeah.
it's also great to see that they're allies and actors. I don't think you had someone cast opposite you in Made in Heaven, but you had Roshan Mathews here. So how was
Yeah.
he to work with? Yeah,
Um,
just walk us through that.
okay, I'm going to blush when I talk about this. I think, when I found out that he was doing the part and I also got the part, the first thing I did was message him and I say, I can't believe I'm going to be doing this with you. Because he knows this, I'm such a big fan. And I have been a huge fan of his work in Malayalam for the longest time. I first watched him in Geetu Mohandas's Muton,
Yeah.
which also has the same DOP, Rajiv sir, right? And Muton was beautiful, beautiful to watch, in which Roshan actually plays a queer character, right? And then
Yeah.
I've seen his work in other Malayalam films also. There's an Anum Pennam, there's a See You Soon, there's like all kinds of things. And then I watched him in Darlings, and then I think most recently in Ulaj, right? So he's been one of those actors that I've watched so many things off. And when that happens, you automatically, pedestalize somebody. You sort of um, you know, you hero worship them, you fangirl a little bit. So I was very scared that when I show up on set, I'm gonna fangirl. But I think when we got talking and things like that, it created a sense of normalcy and safety for me. And that bond of Ashu and Amy was established very early on. And I think he's a wonderful person and a wonderful actor who gave me so much to work with and just made my job all that much easier, And I think um, the fact that he, at the end of the day, even if he is manipulating this character, he is on some level attached to her. And you can see that. With everyone else, it's very cold, it's very like, cutthroat. But with Amy, there is a soft corner, there is a gentleness there, which uh, that gentleness was definitely there in off screen and in person as well. So I'm really appreciative of that allyship in actors like him, which is so rare, to
Yeah.
find. And I found that same allyship in Neil as well on Made in Heaven, who plays
Yeah.
Danish.
Yeah.
Um, but of course, that was far shorter. Like the number of days
Yeah.
we shot with Neil was far shorter. This was, of course, a huge part of the arc. Um, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful to work with him. I have only nice things to say. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. I'm looking forward to everything you do next as a
Thank,
woman or as a trans woman, both.
thank you so much.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. It's a lot. Bye.
Bye bye.